Dart Matchplay 2023. Zweitrunden-Action, live und präsentiert von der PDC Europe, hier aus der Arena Trier. Wir kommen zu unserer zweiten Partie dieser Session und begrüßen auf der Bühne aus Nürnberg, Deutschland, ein Viertelfinalist auf der European Tour, ein Pro-Tour-Halbfinalist. Hier kommt Pikachu, Ricardo Pietreczko. Sein Gegner kommt aus Belgien, die aktuelle Nummer 10 der Welt. Mit 2 Titeln auf der Pro Tour, 2 World Series Titeln, der frühere World Matchplay Champion. Hier kommt der Dreammaker, Dimitri van den
Well, wherever you turn in the order of play for this evening's session, there are stories in the making, there are issues to be resolved, and this perhaps is a very significant one indeed, especially as far as the future of Ricardo Pietreczko is concerned. An outside chance still, you would have to say, of making his way into the field for the World Matchplay later this month, but he needs to win this one, and he'll need to win his next match as well. I don't think for one moment he'll be looking too far ahead, because not only is he up against the world number 10 this evening, but the winner of this tie to play Dirk van Dijvenbode in the round of 16 tomorrow. But it was a very encouraging start, you have to say, for Pietreczko yesterday, beating fellow German Fabian Hertz by 6 legs to 0. 6 out of 11 on his doubles. He is currently on £35,250 on the live Pro Tour order of merit. So with Kim Huybrechts on 38,750, he needs to win this one, and then he needs to get into the quarterfinals. Then he would be level with Kim. It would go to count back, and of course then he would be in pole position. But like I say, other factors could come into the equation, other results could go against him. Who knows? We might have a bolt from the blue from somebody from out of the pack and out of the reckoning. It will all be resolved. First and foremost, I think for Dimitri van den Bergh as well, this is a good chance to, I would say, arrest what has been a pretty below par European Tour campaign so far in the main for 2023. We'll delve into that a little deeper as this match wears on.
Ladies and gentlemen, first leg is Dimitri to throw first. Game on.
Dimitri van den Bergh, a man without a title of any description in more than a year, when he won the World Series version of the Dutch Darts Masters.
109.
But he started off in style. Paul Nicholson alongside me, Rob Belarkey, for this one.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. And Dimitri is starting in the same fashion that Nathan Aspinall did this afternoon when he was throwing those new darts. But
60.
yeah, Dimitri's season, it's a bit odd. Hasn't made it past the last 16, but he has been there 3 times. So 3 Sundays is a positive,
44.
you suppose. But I suppose we tend to grade Dimitri on a slightly higher level these days because of what he's achieved and the amount of talent he has. But if you look at how he's performed on the European Tour this season, in only getting 3 last 16s, it's been very good, averaging almost 96.5 for the season on this kind of stage. And
100.
he has been losing good matches. But this game is all about Ricardo. And that is something that Dimitri can expose because he's the one under pressure.
Yeah.
In a strange sort of way, it's the underdog that's under pressure. And that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, that's a good way of flipping that particular analysis around. And it's worth making the point as well. Van den Bergh didn't even qualify for Graz earlier this year, by the way. That was a tournament that did feature Pietreczko, and that was a rare thing for him because the vast majority of his European tours have come on home soil here in Germany. Graz was, I think, very much an outlander in terms of his fledgling, or relatively fledgling, career on the European stage.
Very much a youngster when it comes to darts. A lot of good stuff ahead of him. If he was to make the World Matchplay this year, he would be ahead of schedule, in my opinion.
I think so too, and maybe there would be a danger that he might just get caught in the headlights a little bit. But only one way to find out, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. And he knows what he's got to do. Double 10. And Dimitri's in front with a very steady first leg. But getting here this afternoon, Ricardo will know exactly what's going on. And in order to make the Winter Gardens, which would be a surprise, having to go through a World Matchplay champion to get the chance to go through one of the most exciting players who will be seeded for this year's World Matchplay. It's a tall task, but at least he knows what he's got to do.
Yeah, Van den Bergh's last deep run in Europe, I suppose, was that run to the final of the German Darts Open last year. He also made the final of the European Darts Open earlier in 2022. But yeah, one of those who remains without a Eurotour title, and perhaps like Van Dijvenbode and one or two others, a strong candidate to become our latest first-time winner.
We were having this chat this afternoon, Dan and myself, because I almost made the case for these being harder to win than majors. Because if you look at someone like Rob Cross, he had 2 European Championships, a World Championship, and a match play before he won one of these. Then you got Dimitri, who's won the World Matchplay and World Series events, hasn't got one of these. And then you think about the other major champions who have not got one of these: Aspinall, Gilding, Ross Smith.
91.
Am I making my case?
Very strong one, Paul.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it is as well.
As always. Yeah, even on the Pro Tour, Dimitri Van den Bergh hasn't really pulled up any trees. Just the 1 semi-final so far. Last year was blighted by 11 round 1 defeats as well. There was, I think, a semi-final in the mix of all that. Anyway, 170 here for Van den Bergh to light the touch paper on this one, but rather fluffing his lines with this particular attempt.
I think the Premier League players as well, as much as they enjoy it and they want to be part of it, a lot of them will be happy that it's over so they can focus on the ranked action now. And their schedule is way more manageable because the Premier League on top of ranked action is just a real marathon of a 4 or 5 month stretch.
Treble 19 would have left the bullseye, not to be. Pietreczko returns looking at tops for a potential 16 dart holder throw to follow the 17 dart holder throw that Van den Bergh had in the opener. Tops here then to get the crowd on side once more. They've gone a little bit quiet in the early stages, but they find their voice with Pietreczko levelling things up.
I love the walk-on song that Pietreczko's got. I think it's very him.
It's growing.
He's got an identity, and honestly, if there's a World Series event in Japan, get him over there. They will love that. They will love it. And it's given me ideas. Imagine people walking out to the theme songs of things like Button Moon. and Power Rangers. I know Matthew Edgar would like that.
100.
I was going to say Button Moon would be lost on a lot of people, Paul, I've got to say.
I'm showing my age.
That's a debate for another day. Or
Magic
maybe
Roundabout, maybe? Go a little bit further back.
Maybe.
Just some ideas for you for free out there. If you're thinking about something different, Ricardo is opening that can of worms with the old Pokemon stuff.
This first start for Pietreczko, by the way, is becoming a little bit of an issue. He's doing a good job of tidying things up, but that's 3 or 4 occasions now where the first start has been wayward in the extreme. And I don't think he can afford to do that too many more times.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rob, because I don't think his first start has been anywhere near as good as it should be. I think he's quite fortunate that he's 1-1 and soon to be 2-1 down by the looks of it, but that's what he's looking for right there. Just needs to be a bit more settled and into a nice space before he throws dart 1. Can't throw it too quickly or too impatiently.
Double 18. Yeah, nicely done. Lovely 2-dart combination there on the 87 checkout. Just another subplot to all of this as well. For all the talk about Blackpool, let's not lose sight of Dortmund as well, because you look at Pietreczko, 34th on the European Tour Order of Merit prior to this weekend on 9,750, so he's given himself a shot in the arm this weekend as far as getting into that top 32 is concerned. Van den Bergh on 17k, so he should be there. I think 17 might just be enough, but obviously he's going to pick up, well, he should pick up, or maybe will pick up points here, because he needs to win this one as a seeded player. But I think there are other opportunities for Van den Bergh this year as well, so I think he'll be okay. But this is a big one in terms of opening other doors for Pietreczko, in terms of getting into the European Championship field in, well, later in the autumn.
I think it's a fair point. Earlier in the season, I had a conversation with some of the commentary colleagues that we work with, and we came up with a number of 20,000 to be guaranteed. And if Dimitri does win this match, he will be over the £20,000 barrier. But there's that first start again, and he's starting to notice it as well.
Yeah, and the thing is there, he's had a good long think about that as well, and I think he's taken just a little bit too much time to conduct his own post-mortem on stage.
Not to mention the fact that Dimitri has seen every single bit of that, and he'll be like a hungry lion with a carcass on the ground. He'll be hungry to just make him feel the pain.
Yeah, well, Pietreczko doing some running repairs here as well.
That's taken Michael van Gerwen's pulling the socks up to another level.
Needs to pull himself up by his bootlaces. Yeah, he's just giving himself a ticking off there as well. Bit of self-admonishment from Pietreczko. First start was better, at least it was in the 20s, but he is struggling for the big numbers.
91.
Good recovery to an extent, but Van den Bergh with, I think, a really good opportunity now for the first break of throat in this one.
There is a chance, though, that this could be dragged into
41.
a bit of an attritional one. If Dimitri has been guilty of something in his career at times, it's that he hasn't put people away soon enough. He's been dragged into this kind of game where it's not particularly pretty, and he can win ugly, but every now and again you just got to put someone away with brilliance and play in your own little bubble.
58.
That was a bit more reassuring for Pietreczko, that 140 to get down to 130. So just about has the advantage here. First to have a crack at this 130 as well, with Van den Bergh on 152. That leaves the bullseye. And that would have been a massive shot in the arm for him had he pulled that one out of the bag. As it is, this would really hurt. 2 of those to leave double 16.
That would have been a real shot in the dark.
140.
Not to quote Ozzy Osbourne.
Got it required 25.
But 25, one of the most common small finishes in match play darts. 13 for double 6. And like Fleetwood Mac, he goes his own way.
I was going to say, I mean, I've seen him do that before, but there aren't many who would go that way.
I can think of 2 players. One, Ricardo Pietreczko, the other being Scott Williams.
140.
Same portion of the board, very little room for manoeuvre, or very little need to move around the board, if you know what I mean.
Must be something about wearing black and yellow for Williams and Pietreczko and their 25 efforts.
83.
But it's very messy on the scoring from Ricardo. Inside, he'll be writhing.
Yeah, he's got away with that one. He had a couple of loose visits, but Van den Bergh unable to punish him on either occasion.
Well, look at the difference in the first 9. 41 points. And he's still level. If Dimitri was to look at that right now, he's got every right to be absolutely beside himself. Yeah. And that he's in a level 46. Game. That looks pretty tight, isn't it? 2 out of 4.
Plays 2 out of 4.
You look at that graphic there in its entirety and think, oh, this is a good game. It's misleading, this game. Well, it's still in the balance.
He's had an 11 darter already, and he's on course for another after that latest 180.
78.
That's the third of the match, actually, for Dimitri.
So many different dart shirts out in the audience today. Some of the World Cup replicas, some of the different player shirts, and lots of fancy dress as usual. Lots of lovely millinery.
I was just wondering about, obviously there's a big market in retro football shirts. I just thought there might be a market in retro dart shirts. You know,
there
one of the Bristow era.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Big collector's market.
Even a Mike Gregory, for example, with the...
Where did you pull that one from, Mr. Malarkey? Because a vintage Mike Gregory shirt, that's a 4-figure jobby, that.
Well, I'm glad to know that there is this market for it. I've often wondered how big a market it is.
Pretty big. There's lots of collectors out there looking for very unusual pieces. And in fact, the PDC this week have had a competition to win the Michael van Gerwen World Cup shirt that he didn't wear. You got any dart shirts at home?
I haven't.
Collection?
No.
Got any?
No.
I've got some good ones. They're not mine. From other players.
I was going to say, is there a habit for, or a potential for the habit of players exchanging shirts like they do in football as well?
Only did it once with Mark Webster at the World Cup.
Nice touch, yeah.
I got one from... I got his Welsh shirt, he got my Australian shirt. And the best thing about it is it's incorrect. It has a wrong sponsors patch on it. So it's like one of those notes that is printed wrong. Well, that's why it's so valuable.
Yeah, the original penny black, because there's an error on it. Yeah, nice little insight that. Anyway, back to the here and now. Van den Bergh leading 3-2. Pietreczko on throw with a slender advantage, although Van den Bergh has more than chipped away at it.
135.
Shame about that last dart.
It's one of those things. You just got to take it on the chin and hope that you get 2 visits for 166. And the likelihood is he isn't.
140.
Well, I think Pietreczko has tightened up on the first dart issues that he was clearly being bothered by earlier on. That seems to have evaporated for now, at least, anyway.
His first 9 is still... I hate to use this word, but it's true.
68.
Five for his front 9, so obviously labouring as he gets to the finish line. And as long as that's the case, that will give Pietreczko something to work with in terms of the bigger picture of this match.
I love this route for 68. Everything at the top of the board.
32.
It's called a hurdle shot, where you go from the 12 to the 22, the 18s. It doesn't work out for him. 72. And he's going to have to use the ball for 4-2.
47.
And that shot there pretty much describes the whole game. It was just a bit iffy. Two 9s. 1 left. And it finds the target. He is clinging on with his fingertips in this game.
Well, it's absolutely astonishing, because you just looking at those front 9 numbers, you just think sooner or later Van den Bergh is going to capitalise, but another opportunity slips through his fingers, and Pietreczko, as you say, just clinging on to the coattails of the number 15 seed with another salvage mission.
There's a part of me that would really love to see Ricardo make the World Match Play by beating Dimitri and Dirk van Dijvenbode and hoping that nothing else happens. But there's another thing that I would love to see as well, and everybody knows the narrative because they were watching the World Cup. a fortnight ago.
140.
But Dimitri van den Bergh will be seeded for the World Match Play, and the person that he would help by beating Ricardo is Kim Huybrechts. Can you imagine Huybrechts versus van den Bergh in round 1 in Blackpool? That would be fun.
140.
We can start talking about certain scenarios. I mean, Gary Anderson's a floater. Everybody's going to want to dodge him.
Yeah, bit of a cliche, but yeah, no easy ties. I think it is very safe to say. Could be a big week actually for van den Bergh. This tournament this weekend, World Match Play coming up, and his birthday next Saturday as well. He'll be 29. My goodness, he's squeezed a lot in, hasn't he, over the last, 9-10 years or so. All those development tour titles, and then, of course, the World Youth Championships. The World Match Play. World number 10 now. Here we go.
136.
Getting closer.
He is knocking on the door, isn't he, on that bullseye?
42.
And Ricardo with a nice little head tilt there, as if to say, that's unlucky. But I really wanted you to miss it.
Do you know what? I think Pietreczko won't be applying too much pressure on this. Obviously, if it comes off, all well and good, but I think he'll be happy just going toe-to-toe for the time being. And then when it comes to the crunch, that's when maybe van den Bergh will begin to feel the heat, and that's when maybe Pietreczko can make his move.
Well, Ricardo's such a lovely kid. He's got great manners, good sports person, loves a battle, but at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, he will shake hands with the opponent and crack a smile. But a very similar situation to what he's faced all match. This is starting to look a bit like Bunting versus Smith from this afternoon, where it was all holds of throw, and ultimately it was Bunting that got the only break in leg 11 in what was a sneaky good game.
But very contrasting holes of throw. You look at van den Bergh, last 3 legs he's won 11 darter, 14 darter, 14 darter. Nothing under 17 for Pietreczko so far, and you just wonder how long he can sort of keep on getting away with it.
Yeah, Ricardo's a bit like a frozen egg at the minute. The more he defrosts, the likelihood is he's going to crack at some point. Now, I'll be really interested to see what he does on 3-1-5, because there are brilliant counters out there, like Dimitri, who would go bull first, 25, then 260s, leaves 170. Decides not to. Thing is, if you get bull at 25, the shot to leave a finish is still on. If you get a single 20, it isn't. That's why it's a prudent play, especially when your opponent is ahead.
50.
Well, there you saw, he was left with 290 with 1 dart in hand, went for the bullseye to try and trim it down to that manageable psychological barrier of 240.
93.
From where he could make a more concerted attack, but yeah, it didn't quite come out. Here we go, 19s, I would suspect, on 265.
Surely. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you Shirley. Now he's got a chance of leaving a finish. He'd rather have the smaller one. He doesn't get one at all.
Well, that's another gift, I suppose, for van den Bergh as well, but is there an opportunity for him here? I would suspect this could well be the moment the tide turns. This could be the part of the match where it just swings in the favour of the Belgian.
Or is there another twist? 106 left with 1 dart. Bullseye's not really the play here. You really want to be going for a treble.
99. Dimitri require 56.
So for a 2-leg cushion for the first time, he's got his pick. And that choice is tops.
Just the 1 dart at double 10, and it's all he needs. And you've got to say it's been coming, haven't you? I mean, he's got away with it for so long, but in the end, the pressure has told, and van den Bergh makes the all-important. And what a time to break as well. The all-important 8th leg, and perfect timing from van den Bergh, who now is throwing first for the match.
It was a good song, that, wasn't it? Electronic sang, getting away with it.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what Ricardo's been going through in this game. The fact that he's 5-3 down shouldn't be a shock to him, and I don't think it is, based on some of his facial expressions. Dimitri has been the better player statistically throughout, whether it's first 9, overall average, and indeed doubles percentage. And now he's turning the screw.
4 180s plays 0 in that particular bracket as well. And this is very much Van den Bergh's match to lose. It looks as though we will have Belgium against the Netherlands in the round of 16 tomorrow.
Well, this is going to make other people happy, this result, providing Dimitri just gets the job done. But that tape is getting closer. That's 5 maximums now. And all of a sudden, it's turning into a brilliant, brilliant last 32 display from Dimitri, because the average has crept over 100. Sneaky good, but he is sprinting towards that line.
Yeah, and Pietreczko knows it as well. I think he realises he may just have thrown his last dart in this one. 62 away here for Van den Bergh. Gets the treble 10 to leave double 16 for a 6-3 win.
65.
And the champagne remains on ice for now.
You can see how disappointed Dimitri is by missing that first match dart. He's in a mode tonight where he wants to play well and he wants to hit doubles without any misses. He hasn't had many, but he only needs one more.
Well, a 17-darter in the opener, but since then it has been pretty rock solid on the Van den Bergh throw. He's got the all-important break. He's now looking at double 8, and he's now looking forward to a meeting in the round of 16 tomorrow against the number 2 seed, Dirk van Dijvenbode. Dimitri Van den Bergh through against Ricardo Pietreczko, for whom the Blackpool dream is now well and truly over. Another bullet has been dodged by Kim Huybrechts, who remains in the field and in the running for the Winter Gardens. Van den Bergh through, 6 legs to 3.
Im Achtelfinale des Interwetten European Darts Matchplay. Dimi, herzlichen Glückwunsch. 6:3 Erfolg gegen Ricardo vor heimischem Publikum. Average von 99,3. Liest sich gut. Wie hast du das Spiel empfunden?
Das Gefühl war, dass ich nicht wirklich in Kontrolle war, weil ich glaube, ich habe ein bisschen zu viel Respekt für den Ricardo. Ich weiß, was er kann. Ich habe schon öfter gegen ihn gespielt. Und ja, schau mal, dieses Spiel. Mein Leg, sein Leg, mein Leg, sein Leg. Ich denke mir, Dimi, komm jetzt. Du musst ein bisschen Druck stellen. Das Gefühl hatte ich nicht, aber 99 Schnitt ist gut, das ist positiv. Also ja, da muss ich mich jetzt auch fokussieren. Leute, Entschuldigung, ich habe gerade gegen einen Deutscher gewinnen können, aber ich bin auch